hey, these people have had their entire board resigned because every single one of them is making like anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas, pro-Muslim Brotherhood comments. And you're like, well, that's sure, but that's like the worldwide part. This is just the Canadian affiliate, like underling. Like that is such a hilarious like separation. And watching how many people, you included, try to rewrite that made it so obvious that there were people that were like incapable of seeing through whatever ideological commitments they had, where there was literally a guy making threats, like real life physical confrontation threats against me, and you walked out of that thinking like, well, you know, I thought that they were pretty calm and non-confrontational. I think after that that left a pretty bad taste in my mouth. And then like like the random things he's been like, you like claim that I doxed Mike for saying what state he was from,
and that was completely wrong of me to do. It was wrong of me to go on that stream and say all that.
Listen, I don't care, Lance. I don't care.
And it was also, hey, I'm not even done yet. And it was also wrong of me to bring up a whole bunch of personal stuff with you that I don't have any business talking about. There you go.
Apologies don't mean anything to me, okay? You got to reap all the social credit at the time. I'm not going to let you reap the social credit now for being a big guy and apologizing. I don't give a fuck. It's so funny. I'm glad that I have you here, and I don't expect you to be able to name a single thing. People say that I've developed all these reactionary positions related to lefties. Can you name a single one of these positions that I don't actually have, but I just have as a reactionary like reason because lefties hold the opposite?
Twitch.tv/the SerfsTV. And I gotta say, I agree with Cormentine. Like this, I don't think this is the way to have these kind of discussions. This whole
I agree, 100%. Cormentine shouldn't be here. He can't have the talk.
A whole bunch of people screaming at each other.
Come on, Destiny.
Man, what happened?
This guy tweeted right before he came on Tuesday, October 22nd, 7 p.m. PST. Cole, James, Cash, and Andre, whatever versus Destiny. Can I ask the Serfs a question? I'm super curious because even though like you talk shit about me, whatever, I do respect you. I think you're cool. Okay, even if you talk shit about me, right? Do you really think that guy like randomly interjecting? You don't have the education to talk about this. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't think you think that that's like a good faith way to approach a conversation.
I think a bad faith way was just to constantly tell him that he was dumb and stupid.
You know, I only did that after he was literally telling me. He was literally. So you're not going to call him out on it, but you are going to call me out on doing it after he was doing it to me.
After he was doing it to you. I was here for the whole 3 hours. Like
you didn't hear him do that to me at all? You didn't hear him do that to me at all?
He might have said it once at the start. No, sorry.
Okay. All right, dude. Never mind. I'm done.
Do you know why Mike from PA calls himself Mike from PA?
Because he's Mike from Pennsylvania.
Or the same thing, why he calls himself Mike from PA on Twitter?
Because he's Mike from Pennsylvania? I don't know. What do you mean?
Because he doesn't want to reveal his full legal name. He uses it as an alias.
Then why would he run
for
I'm going with this? Public office?
Right, but he doesn't use that in his Twitter or his Twitch or anything, and he does that with intention.
Pretty easy to like Google around and see like the very public news articles.
I'm never going to contest that, but that's still like that's his prerogative, right? So by putting that on your stream, that's doxing him.
Nah, I don't buy into that one. Not even remotely close. That somebody who runs for, if he wanted to be like completely invisible, why would he put his first name and the state that he's from as part of his name? What? Hold on. Wait. What you just said was, hold on. Okay, hold on. One sec. Because I'm trying to do this conversation better. I was about to say a lot of really, really mean stuff. Okay? Because what you just said was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life, okay?
There you go. All right.
Yeah,
give me Super Saiyan Destiny.
Yeah, okay. No. I'm not going to do that. Well, because like, if I want to not be doxxed. So what name should I use online? I'll use my real first name, and then I'll put the state that I'm from in my name.
Sure, dude. Sure. I'm not going to contest with you that it's not a good way to go about it, or that it's even like comical to do it that way. But that's, regardless of all that, it doesn't matter.
You're accusing me of doxing, which is pretty serious, and I'm quoting just literal public articles. You're saying that he's gone to great lengths to conceal his identity. He literally put his name, occupation, and location as part of his name. It doesn't seem like he's going through a lot of effort to, and he also lists publicly a lot of what he's done. I worked with a lot of public campaigns. I worked for blah, blah, blah. I think he's even mentioned he's tried to run for public office. I think he's mentioned that on my stream before. Like, Jesus Christ, if you're trying to hide yourself from getting doxed, you're doing all the wrong things. Like, I think I can make that argument. Like, my name is Destiny.
We're going in the circle, dude. I said at the start of this, you could characterize it as cartoonish as far as like how little he's hiding it. Fine, but that doesn't dispute the fact that he is still hiding it, and that was still intent, right?
I don't know that, and it's impossible for me to ascertain that based on the information listed. If somebody's name is going to be Mike from Pennsylvania, the lawyer, I actually wouldn't make the assumption at all that he's going to hide that he ran for public office. I would actually assume the exact opposite. Like.
Okay. Well, I did speak to him after this, though.
Okay.
And he said, yeah, the reason I use Mike from PA in Central Planning Committee is because I don't want my real name revealed.
I don't believe him, actually. 100% I don't believe him. Because I know people that don't want the real name revealed, and they don't put their real name as their handle. What? Like, you must understand how absolutely fucking stupid that is. Please tell me you understand that.
I use Lance, and I don't want my full legal name out there.
Sure, but like if you were, I don't even want to guess your state. If you were Lance from Ukraine, okay, sure. like the electrician, you wouldn't advertise that publicly. Like, oh, I'm Lance from Ukraine, the electrician. You're like big, and then say like, oh yeah, I've ran for public office in Ukraine. You're like begging for people to try to figure out like more information about you.
I'm not contesting that it is like it's like it's easy to find, sure. Fine, but like that doesn't change the fact that I still have a right to do that as a person. I could still say I still don't want to, whether or not I went about that in like the most foolish way possible. I still do have that right.
This is like unimaginable to me. I don't believe that Mike cares about this at all. I think that he's just really ass pained over like getting whatever me talking about him, and now he's like trying to throw shit at me. But like,
he's not throwing shit at you. I am, man. I'm the one talking to you.
Wait, he's already oh man, dude. He's already got a Medium account that's called @MichaelBayer, and it's connected to his Mike from PA account that also links to his Twitch.tv/Central Committee thing.
Sure. Like again, it's all foolish. I'm not disputing.
No, that's not foolish. He's literally doxed himself.
The other thing.
No, come on! You're doing the thing that I just accused you of doing. This is why I call you guys spineless. Like, this is literally it right here. What the fuck? I'm getting gaslit in real time right now. He has a Medium account that is called @MichaelBayer. It links to his Twitter. It links to his Twitch. It's all right here. Like,
Manifest Destiny and One State Solutions and Genocide. Oh, I hadn't seen this one. Holy fucking yikes. So much edge. So edgy. Much wow. Much wow. Fucking, you're an edgy boy. Oh yeah, so edgy. But anyways, as I was gonna say, like, the fact that he recently tweeted this one out, which, yeah, is a fucking based ass meme on point.
Hi, Destiny.
hello, the SerfsTV.
So you're a massive fucking piece of shit, eh?
Why? What'd I do this time?
I have been so good faith to you. So
you're easily one of the worst faith people that I deal with. There's a reason why we call you spineless, Lance.
Tell me. Okay, tell me. Because every single time we have a conversation, enter that conversation, I think, in the most good faith way possible. I will speak to you any single time to defend my positions on your show live, ever. Like, have I ever backed down? I've only ever told you I'm going to do it like the next day because I'm not like at your beck and call, but I'll easily come on to defend my positions live on the stream. I don't back away from that. I'll tell you things to your face like that I will tweet out. I don't have any problem with doing that either. I oftentimes when I speak to you will listen to your like points, take them in, and not just be like, I'm only here to prove a point. I only want to debate you to the ground now. Is any of that unfair?
I don't remember all the spineless things you've done to me. I would have to go back and look. I didn't know we were talking about our meta history of talking to one another. I just know that the impression that I've been left with, I'm pretty sure there are reasons why I felt like you were like a pretty like bad faith person that I've interacted with. Or I don't know if I'd say bad faith, but at the very least spineless. I feel like there's a lot of like shit talking on social media and then like very like kind of hands off, more back off or whatever on the actual conversations, but
I always speak to you about the issues that I'll bring up on social media, though. Every time. Like, your accusations, which is like, people always on the left, they will, like, talk shit behind me. You run the Surf support group. Like, you basically are, like, the CEO of it.
What is the Surf support? First of all, no, there is no the Surf support group. I'm flattered that you think one exists. And secondly, I don't have people to form, like, the little, like, circle jerk groups with. I'm also flattered that you think that. So that's...
okay. If it's any of your friends, whom, by the way, I don't mind. I actually really like Lycan. I think he's a nice guy. I would have a wonderful time having a beer with him outside of this whole weird political whatever terminally online shit, but he was the one who's like, I want to debate you. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll debate you. Right afterwards, goes on to the Surf support group with you. They have to have a big conversation. You want to pull me in to do a double debate.
Does Lycan even, first of all, it wasn't, I literally just had a few, I didn't even think you'd answer, but I don't even know if Lycan is like a real streamer. Is this even like does he even stream?
I don't know if he streams. That was like the first interaction I'd had with him on the stream. Anyways, the same thing applies to other people, right? Ripley goes after me, and immediately I get subtweeted by you. It's like a 1-2 punch kind of thing. I'm not actually being serious. I don't think there's a surf support group, dude. I'm talking about what you always say, that like lefties like talk about you behind your back. That
I think if I have to remember for you, and it's possible, maybe you've completely 180'd on your personality, but I think that it was like, I think that the confrontation that I had with Quarantine and Cash or whatever was so clearly one way, and watching how many people, you included, try to rewrite that made it so obvious that there were people that were like incapable of seeing through whatever ideological commitments they had, where there was literally a guy making threats, like real life physical confrontation threats against me, and you walked out of that thinking like, well, you know, I thought that they were pretty calm and non-confrontational. I think after that, that left a pretty bad taste in my mouth. And then like like the random things he's been like, you like claim that I doxed Mike for saying what state he was from, or when you were saying that like, Destiny misgendered someone, that's not surprising. Like what? Like it's just like dumb shit like that. Yeah.
And I would be the first person to both say that was not only like an utter like fuck. I don't want to be tagged in posts with fucking scumbag from PA anymore. Like that guy's fucking utter human trash.
That's great that you think that now that you're not friends with him anymore. I'm glad that you've come around, but it kind of shows me how you guys function. Like if somebody's a friend, you let them get away with basically anything you can. If they're not a friend, then wow, now you'll call them out. Now you'll go really hard on them, like I suppose you're trying to do with me right now. But
I'm not trying to go hard on you. I honestly,
you open this hotter than I've ever heard you open a conversation in my entire life.
Because you have been fucking doing the worst shit to me on Twitter, and
the
I think
worst shit.
Reasonable to, yeah. Claiming that I funded Hamas? Like
you picked an insane group to donate to. I just thought it was really funny because
I thought when you deleted that tweet, you were admitting culpability to this. Yeah, you're so off base.
Wait, first of all, I don't know what you mean by culpability. Number one, number two, my friend regularly deletes almost all of his tweets. If you go through and check, I would never. Why the fuck would I delete a tweet to you? No, of course not.
When I originally was going to be like, donating money to Palestinian children, I knew that there was going to be a whole bunch of right wingers who were going to lose their shit to this. So immediately I had to vet a whole bunch of them to find something that I knew would like be above the fray, because I knew this was going to happen. And sure enough, it did. Sargon of Akkad, Lauren Southern.
Wait, why are you lying? Why are you lying?
What do you mean lying? Lying about what?
You didn't vet these people at all. They're one Google search away for like all of the random shit that like all the whole board in the UK that resigned from the anti-Semitic comments, like the people in Norway and Denmark that resigned for anti-Semitic. Like this group has had trouble like all over the world with different branches or offices in different countries. Like.
Okay, great. You still haven't figured this out. You were talking about a totally separate organization. I pointed this out to you when you tweeted out that tweet, by the way, which is a link to a far-right Israel think tank. I hope you're like aware of that as well.
The links in I know that we like to practice like the wiki warrioring here. I thought that was a joke. You can click through to the links and you can read like the other stories that are cited. If you think it's fake news, for instance, I
not only think it's fake news, I know it's fake news. I disproved it. I had to make an entire video about this, going through this piece by piece. They are separate organizations that use the same branding. And in the case
what do you mean by separate organizations? Do you think there's no relationship?
They're independent organizations. There is a relationship. I'm not saying there's not. They are independent organizations that share the same branding. In the case of Islamic Relief Canada, they are partnered with the government of Canada. That's one of the reasons I picked them. Justin Trudeau, who is one of the most ardent supporters of Israel, is in their fucking commercials. It's one of the reasons I picked that organization.
That's great. I don't care whose commercials Justin Trudeau are in, okay? All I'm saying is that I just thought it was strange that you were donating to an organization who's had so many people, like, one, countries withdraw funding over this, and two, like people that are involved in this organization, like resigning off of these head branches because of like all of the anti-Semitic, pro-Muslim Brotherhood and shit stuff that these guys have said. That just seems like really interesting to me.
I'm never going to defend the members of the Islamic Relief Worldwide Fund and why they like left the board. I'm talking about Islamic Relief Canada. It's a separate organization.
It's not. What do you mean? It's like it's a related thing.
Absolutely.
You think the name is just coincidence? Do you think the name is a coincidence?
Yeah. Okay. So then the burden of proof is on you, Destiny, to prove how any of the money that got donated to that organization went directly to funding them.
My understanding is that the majority of the money that IRC raises goes to IRW. Doesn't that come out as per their audits? Isn't that where the extra money goes to?
No, the majority of the money goes to IRW. What are you talking about? There's a percentage that goes towards licensing, at which point you would have to show that any of the money that I donated, specifically that I donated, because they have different things you can donate to. You can donate to like funding in Yemen. You can donate to funding in Palestine. You can donate to funding in different parts of the world. Sudan, for example, the funding for the Palestinian Relief Fund, none of it, not a single penny, goes towards the worldwide organization.
It's not just like a thing that shares the same name. Like this is the Canadian affiliate of Islamic Relief Worldwide.
You're ignoring everything I just said out loud.
Because you're making it sound like this is an organization that just shares a name and like branded it or licensed it, like just the name, and there's nothing else.
I'm telling you that in this case, if you want to make the claim that I'm funding Hamas, that is what you said, and you pointed that main link, you have to demonstrate then if any of the dollars that I put went to that worldwide organization. Even then, that's a razor thin argument to have, okay, for a very serious charge.
Okay. I mean, I didn't know we were going to argue about this, but I can look for, I can try to find those documents again. I didn't know we were discussing this. One thing that I really hope, Lance, I really hope that you will apply this level of like stringent vetting when you are like calling people Nazis and white nationalists in the future, because holy shit, like I'm trying to imagine if I was to donate to like remember when your like group of people, I say your group of people because people that you're all affiliated with, got like it was Ethan Ralph to like take back his $27,000 donation to I think it was St. Jude's, just because he's a bad person and people were freaking out, even though St. Jude's had nothing to do with him? Or like, could you imagine if I was donating to a charity that was founded by like Nick Fuentes' brother? Like you guys would be all over that. But then I can point to like an organization where like, hey, these people have had their entire fucking board resigned because every single fucking one of them is making like anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas, pro-Muslim Brotherhood comments. And you're like, well, that's sure, but that's like the worldwide part. This is just the Canadian affiliate, like underling. Like that is such a hilarious fucking like separation.
Wow, a razor thin, like your arguments.
You literally, dude, the last time we talked, so serious. The last time we talked, you literally said that Kyle Rittenhouse was being Nazi adjacent because one person that was fucking in that group of people like posted fucking Nazi memes, unfortunately. But now we want to go into like the hardcore fucking nuance.
And none of that was a gotcha, by the way. None of it was me being like, hey, Destiny, here you go.
Oh my God.
Fucking final hit.
I hope that you're as nuanced when you call people Nazis and shit in the future. I hope.
Sure. Yeah. You want a good example of that? I lost 2 fucking mods, hundreds of followers and subs, because I didn't call you a Nazi to your face. Everyone was like, why would you call fucking Destiny a Nazi? He's literally Pol Pot.
Dude, in the last video, man, you're literally calling me like genocide and all sorts of like other random shit. What are you talking about?
I have never, in the middle of one of our conversations, called you a Nazi. I've never said that.
Maybe you didn't.
If you can find that clip, pull it up.
Maybe you called me genocide right not a Nazi. That's good. But thank you for not using the N-word against me. I appreciate that, okay?
Oh, wow. Yeah. What a dunk. Like, honestly, dude, like this is something that like I would assume after being presented with an overwhelming amount of evidence, you would be like, okay, fine. Like all I would like in this is for you to be like, okay, well that was misguided for me to make that accusation. That's it.
Here, okay, I might be wrong. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wasn't prepared to discuss this particular topic. So here's a link to their audit sheets.
I'll discuss the
here, this is a link to the audit sheet. So included in accounts payable and accrued liabilities is $297,728 owing to IRW. So maybe they just pay them that much money for branding, or are you going to try to walk back and say, well, I didn't mean that they didn't give them any money. I just meant that. Or,
No, I'm once again going to say to you, then the burden of proof is upon you to show that if any dollar that I donated directly to the specific Palestinian charity of like their wings, there's a Yemenis one you can donate to, again, there's a Sudanese one you can donate to, any single cent went from them into the IRW Global. I linked you, right? I linked you. This is their audit sheet. There you go. You linked to me how their overall spending is, not how every single dollar is spent. And I had to contact them because I was like, I need to have something on record to be able to defend this. They have given me an official statement, which, by the way, in Canada, if you make a statement to this effect, you are going to lose your charity license if it turns out to be fraudulent, that not a single cent from the Palestinian Relief Fund goes to the global IRW. Not a single penny goes towards that. It goes directly to Palestinian.
Can you show me that? Can you show me that statement? I'm curious what that says.
You didn't even fucking read it. That was the one I
probably not. I don't read a lot of shit you write on Twitter. Of course not. You can link me if I'm curious, but
well, you ended up replying to it. That's like you tweeted about me all day because of that one thing.
I don't tweet about anybody all day, my dude. I stream and play League of Legends for most of my day.
now I have to go to the OmniLiberal. And yeah, I'm more than fine to talk about the topics you want to talk about, but like, honestly, this was shit that I wanted you to address. And since we're talking in person, it's hard to get through all these Among Us memes. Oh, did you delete these ones too?
Everything gets wiped after before a certain date.
Okay, starting May 25th, if I scroll down, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. No, there's 4 tweets about me, and there was 6 tweets during the day. So you tweeted me 4 of the 6 tweets you made that day. I think it's apt to say you were tweeting about me that day.
4 tweets is all day too? Okay, well, I mean, I guess we just have different
May 25th of the 6 tweets, I'm 4 of them. So yeah, that kind of counts. I think the stats bore out on that one.
I'm taking a big fat L on that one. You got me there.
Oh man, I'd have to scroll really far down to find this now since you deleted them. Maybe I could find this really nice.
If I tweeted 2 times during the day and both tweets were at you, does that also count as tweeting at you all day?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Just checking.
This is facts and logic, my friend. Okay, here you go.
No, none of the donations that you have made will go towards the IRW. For our emergency appeals, such as the Palestine one, all funds with the exception of the overhead fee are allocated towards the appeals themselves to ensure immediate aid is being provided for the crisis at hand. Oh, that's cool. So they're just affiliated with them, but your specific thing didn't go to them. Oh, well, good job. It's a good email.
So, retraction, apology, statement, anything?
I don't think I would ever apologize to you for anything. But if it only goes to them and it's being used directly for those relief things, that's good. You probably should have posted that in the beginning. But I'm glad that somebody like me could hold you accountable to go out and get a statement from them to ensure that the stuff wasn't going to IRW when they work directly with each other. So
Holy shit.
I'm happy.
Shit. You had the gall to call me spineless. Fuck.
I'm not Wait, you providing new information after the fact. Yeah, of course. I'm proud of you. I'm glad I could hold you accountable. That's good.
Okay. All right. Oh, and speaking of which, motherfucker, I saw your debates in Kenosha. Okay, I saw how you were sitting. Like, if that is the alpha spine, I'm happy to be a beta in this case. Okay, like you say you have communism.
Wait, are you actually so intimidated by me that you're resorting to ad homs? Are you okay? You're like unhinged today.
These are
when I call you spineless, it has nothing to do with your posture. It just has to do with how much you're a suck up to people that are ideologically similar to you, no matter how deranged they are.
No shit. Oh, can you define a metaphor for me, Destiny? I'd love to learn right now.
Well, you literally just went in on a real life ad hom, and it's kind of hard to call it a metaphor at that point. It just seems like you're super mad.
Yeah, I am mad because honestly, I've always thought I treated you with good faith when it came to all our interactions. Like, to the point where, like, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, I have DM'd you like thumbnails before I've used them, being like, hey, is this like gonna, like, is this offensive to you? Is it gonna cause drama?
Wasn't that only jokingly after I'd already gotten so irritated at you, like going right to Twitter and saying horrible shit right after our conversation? So isn't that where that joke came from?
No, that was just me.
Really?
Being like, hey, is this one going to be offensive? Yes.
Well, didn't we finish a conversation and you were like, can I? Didn't we finish a conversation? You were like, can I tweet this, or is it going to be considered talking behind your back? Because you'd specifically done that multiple times in the past, wasn't it?
You're talking about tweets. I'm talking about a thumbnail for YouTube, like a thumbnail that I was going to use in a YouTube video. I sent it to you beforehand. And I was like, hey, is this too much? Blah blah blah.
You might. Yeah, I think you've done that once, but again, this was after you'd like repeatedly
Have I also DM'd you before I've had guests on my show being like, hey, just want you to know, like, I'm not bringing this person on because they debated you. I'm not doing that for like to start drama. They just had asked me if they could come on the show.
If you're trying to establish that you're not like literally Hitler or Stalin, I guess in this case, I'm not going to say you're that. I think you're kind of spineless, and I think that if somebody is on your ideological position, you will agree with them and then shit on other people, even if like the argument's really dumb. Well, so here's a question. So
these are demonstrations. I'm trying to establish.
No, these aren't. But these aren't demonstrations. You doing like a couple of things that are kind of nice after being called out multiple times for doing things that are really shitty doesn't like absolve you of all the past things, and it doesn't change my like organization view in my head. That might change over time, but it takes a while to change that. Do you? Or I'm curious. Maybe looking back, you know what? Maybe I might be wrong. Do you think that the conversation that I had with Quarantine and Cole, do you think that those two were like pretty calm and non-confrontational throughout that conversation?
No, they were very confrontational. No question.
Oh, okay. Well, I see you changed your opinion on that. So, okay, maybe my opinion of you will slowly change then. I'm glad you have that position now, though, because you were completely on the other side back then. And I give you very little credit for it now, though, because I know that back then you took it because that was a hot position, whereas today you probably feel a bit differently because those two people have been a lot more ostracized from the community. So maybe now it's easier for you to own this position since you don't have like as much like stake in the other people's well-being.
Because it's for profit, right? At the end of the day, all of this is.
Oh, not for profit, but it's just social credit, right?
Like, here's the difference is that like I can tell you that what I've done or what I've done in the past was like wrong or apologize for it, especially when it comes to like that whole Mike from PA being redacted. Like, do you know the background? I was watching you in that whole 20,000 whatever stream God sneeze shit, and like I thought this was like this huge event of like this massive streamer bullying a whole bunch of smaller streamers, and I was like, okay, well I'm gonna do fucking, you know, I'm gonna white knight lance this one and like defend and stand up for all these people, and that was completely wrong of me to do. It was wrong of me to go on that stream and say all that
listen,
shit.
I don't care, Lance. I don't care.
And it was,
I don't
also,
care.
hey, I'm not even done yet. And it was also wrong of me to bring up a whole bunch of personal stuff with you that I don't have any business talking about. There you go. Like
I don't mind. I don't care. Like, the apologies don't mean anything to me, okay? You got to reap all the social credit at the time. I'm not going to let you reap the social credit now for being a big guy and apologizing. I don't give a fuck. If you don't do it again in the future, that's cool. But I think you are the kind of person that would do that over and over and over again, given the opportunity to reap the rewards from it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and give you credit or be thankful for your apology now that Mike has, like, burned his bridge with every other fucking political streamer, like, in the entire field. Like, you're not a big person for, like, now coming out and like, oh, well, what I did with him, you know, was wrong. Like, okay, congratulations. Like, you have nothing more to gain from him. There's no more clout. There's no more viewers. There's nothing else. Like, of course you're going to sit here and shit on him. Like, I'm not going to give you credit for that. Like, you already got all the social credit you needed from bullying me or attacking me in the past, and not like, yeah, fuck, I don't care at this point. But I don't like hold it against you. I'm not like holding a grudge or anything. I just don't care if you like apologize. What?
But like, how have I ever bullied you?
Dude, you're you're like one of the actual support group. Okay, you're one of the classic Destiny support group members. What do you mean?
I was never a part of that. We talked about this so many times. I never had conversations privately with people where we were talking about you. I never streamed being like, okay, let's all shit on Destiny like for like fun. I brought you into like multiple conversations when Peter Coffin was on their like embarrassing apology tour or whatever they were up to at that time.
I just don't remember our history. I wasn't prepared to have a meta conversation about our past. So, but like I have the characterizations of you in my head, and I'm pretty sure they exist for real reasons. I don't think I invented all of this. Like I keep track pretty well of like people that are like very strange and try to do weird shit or whatever. But
do you genuinely think I've bullied you? Like that seems so odd.
I think that you play like a very I think that you're like, so if there was a group of people that were bullying a kid, I think you would be the guy on the side kind of like making jokes at them and like stepping aside when they go to like grab a brick or something, and then at the very end you'd be like, whoa, hold on, I never bullied you directly or whatever. I was just like kind of laughing along with it and like joking with them about it. It's like that's like the kind of the position that you play. So you'll never commit so hard that you have to actually own doing like a bad action, but you're definitely there to reap the rewards from it the entire time.
That was actually the kid getting beat up.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. Maybe.
That's not what we were supposed to. Hey, the two big things that like I would always take heat for when again defending you in public was me saying like, hey, there's two things that Destiny does really well. All right, he would, you know, take people away from that alt-right pipeline, blah blah blah. That's what everyone likes to say, right? But number two is the one that I think I'm unique on this. I liked that you would call lefties out on their shit, because I think someone has to. Otherwise, you're gonna get people like Ryan Knight popping up all the time who go from like this weird speed run of being like, I'm with her Hillary supporter to fucking, I am now Stalin, drink my communist milk, everybody. That shit has value. That shit is important. But like, that has completely been lost now. Like all I see you now is just doing reactionary takes, dunking on every single person on the left that you can because like they've pissed you off on any given day.
People say this about me. It's so funny. I'm glad that I have you here, and I don't expect you to be able to name a single thing. People say that I've developed all these reactionary positions related to lefties. Can you name a single one of these positions that I don't actually have, but I just have as a reactionary like reason because lefties hold the opposite?
Absolutely. So when you were debating Lawrence Southern when it came to the Israel-Palestinian conflict, you seemed to be taking a position in which the Palestinians were disproportionately and unfairly getting demolished and bombed on a regular basis, and you weren't defending, Israel against the actions of Hamas very, very openly. Whereas now, when you were going that line of accusing every single person of either funding Hamas directly, like you were accusing me of, you were then starting to say that if you do not call out Hamas and understand that they are firing hundreds of missiles into Israeli territory, then you are also part of the problem.
Do you think that these positions are at all contradictory?
I don't think they're contradictory. I think you were highlighting one versus the other at the time because one was more beneficial to the argument you were making, whereas now you're pissed off at the left, so you've kind of begun highlighting the other. Of which I will say that I agree with you. No one is fucking defending Hamas.
I don't know about that. That's definitely not true among your fans. But so, yeah, if I'm arguing with a conservative over like Israel-Palestine, I'm probably going to be representing the Palestinian side of that argument way fucking more than the Israeli side because conservatives are fucking insane for Israel. But if I'm arguing with the insane lefties that exist online today, I'm probably going to be pushing back against a lot of the insane pro-Hamas shit that I hear and a lot of the crazy anti-Semitic, anti-Israeli, anti-Zionist, whatever shit that I hear as well. Yeah. So, but that's not like a contradiction. Like if I'm arguing with my mom about trans rights, I'm probably going to come out as like the most fucking pro-trans person in the fucking universe. But if I'm arguing with somebody else that's trying to say that like trans women should be able to compete in every single Olympic event as cis women and they're exactly 100% the same, then I'm probably going to come off, I guess, as like a transphobe or whatever to people like you or my community. But that's not because I'm taking a reactionary position or whatever. It's just that like the type of argument I'm responding to means that I'm going to probably respond in a slightly different way. But nothing that you just said now, right? So like if you go back then and you're like, Destiny, you think it's okay that Hamas launches tons and tons of rockets into fucking, Tel Aviv and shit? I don't think I'd say like, oh yeah, that's fine. I support the Palestinians doing whatever they can. I don't think I would say that, right? But obviously Lauren Southern is not making those arguments, so that's not what I'm responding to. Is there another reactionary take that you think I have, or some reactionary position you think I've staked out?
Okay, sure. How about this quote? Because I think you said this like a year ago. You remember the arguments that we made. Remember all the arguments we made against alt-right people that say it's just memes or whatever. I'm always saying, hey, I'm not comfortable with the blood of the landlords running the streets. I'm not comfortable with joking about killing Jews because that shit manifests in reality. If you make public jokes about killing people or other people's races, I don't know how that's going to manifest, right? Mm-hmm. Of which I would probably completely agree with you on that point. Did you then go forward and make jokes related to the Holocaust in the last series of like inflammatory tweets?
Did I?
What did you say to Bad Bunny?
I don't remember. What did I say to Bad Bunny? I don't know. What did I say?
You said that we should call this the final solution. When she said that, she tweeted out that horrifyingly, like, why would you ever tweet abolish Israel? Like, fucking understand optics at the very least or explain more.
You realize, because I'm making fun of her there for sounding anti-Semitic.
Absolutely you are, but you're making a Holocaust joke in the process.
Hold on.
Sure.
Okay, let's say, for instance, somebody gets on Twitter and they start saying, like, I hate Jewish people, fuck Zionists, I'm going to destroy Israel. And I tweet out at them something like, man, you sound like you failed a lot of art classes in middle school. Is that like does that count as like a pro-Hitler joke or?
No.
Okay.
It's ambiguous enough not to be specific.
No, but that is, but the, no, but it's
incredibly specific.
That's, I'm joking that they are Hitler, right? That's the joke because of the thing.
Yeah.
So if I joke that Bad Bunny seems to be advocating for a quote unquote final solution, that's not like a pro-Hitler joke. Unless you think I want there to be a final solution.
I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying that's what you were saying. I'm just saying by definition, that is a joke about the Holocaust. Yes?
I don't think it's bad to joke. I don't think it's bad to joke about the Holocaust. The idea is normalize.
That position has changed.
No. What I'm saying is I don't think it's good to normalize types of humor that allow like more like insidious thought to kind of like take over and bubble from an undercurrent based on what those jokes represent. If I make the types of jokes that I make about the Holocaust, and then all of a sudden my entire community is joking that people that want to like kill Jewish people or delete Israel are also like kind of Nazis, that's not like a bad type of humor. Like I'm okay with people joking about that.
I mean, I'm not trying to get you canceled, so I'm not like being like, hey, I'm going to pull up a whole bunch of clips or like read out some of the more inflammatory things. But that's one of many kind of jokes you've made in that arena as well, right? It's
possible. I don't usually. I mean, like I have made edgy jokes in the past, some of which I probably shouldn't have. But like this is like the worst. There's like one log screenshot of me, I think from 2019 or whatever. That would have been a better go-to for you. That I probably shouldn't have said, but I thought it was in chat. But this one
just uses like old shit from the past. This happened like less than a month ago.
Sure, but this isn't like a pro. But this isn't a pro Holocaust joke. This is like a.
It's certainly not.
So I'm okay with it. This is a joke showing how like crazy somebody's being, like where they sound like they're pro-Holocaust. I don't think that's a bad joke.
What about the Kyle Rittenhouse on the streets of what is it, Gaza, like the rubble of Gaza?
That you should have approved of that one. That was a property defense. Kyle Rittenhouse coming out to defend people that are getting evicted by Israeli people. You should have been in favor of that one.
Did you see the footage of Israeli people destroying Palestinian businesses and shops and stuff?
I have seen more horrible war footage from all sorts of different sides than probably most people ever will. So I don't know if you're trying to invoke an emotional response from me. Have you seen the footage of the Israeli people coming out of their shop with that was completely fucking destroyed?
No, trust me, Dusty. I'm never going to try and invoke an emotional response from you. I'm saying that does the logic still apply in that scenario though? That all those Israeli people had the right to be either shot or mowed down in that situation because they were destroying all their public property?
Are you trying to ask me for a more specific, an opinion related to the conflict between Israel and Palestine? It's possible that in these circumstances, both sides can feel some level of justification for what they're doing. It is possible that there are Jewish people in Israel that feel they have justification for creating vast amounts of settlements in the West Bank, or for working with Egypt to have a massive blockade in the Gaza Strip and to fuck over everybody there. It's also possible that there are Palestinians that exist, even in the Gaza Strip, even the ones who voted for Hamas, that feel like they have justification to fight against Israel for the things that they've done to them. I believe it or not, in war, there are times when both sides can feel justifications and even on some level be correct for the positions that they're taking. I don't know if you're I'm not going to say this is the problem that I have though when people like you talk about this situation is you're trying to make it sound like one side is committing all the bad and one side is completely good, but that's not true. It's not even really that complicated, but it's just there's a lot of different interests being represented in these conflicts. I'm not going to sit here and say that Palestinians have no right to be upset or that a lot of the violence or civilian death especially being committed isn't relatively one-sided. I mean, we can look at the numbers and see the difference between Palestinian civilian deaths and Israel's civilian deaths. I mean, I don't know what position you're trying to push me on here, but yeah, of course.
Well, I'm not trying to push you on any positions. You were asking for very specific examples. I'm providing a whole bunch of them.
Well, hold on. You're not providing a whole bunch. So one you provided is a joke that isn't bad at all.
You're not agreeing with my takes. That's a difference, right? But that's what this comes down to. At the end of the day, if you are trying to call out the left, what is the purpose when you're making these kind of tweets? When you're constantly being is it because they just piss you off?
Well, right now it's because I fucked up. Bad Bunny is my perfect fucking Frankenstein gone wrong. It's because when I move people from the right, I wasn't fucking de-radicalizing. I was just moving them from one radical camp to the next. So now my purpose online, I guess, is to serve as a counterbalance for this insane fucking craziness that is erupting in the left. And thank God is finally fucking dying. So that's the purpose that I serve now, is to draw people back from, I guess, from all forms of extremism or something, or from the cringy socialist communist shit now that was so much more popular.
Okay, well then let's take an example from the people that you put me in that tweet with, because you did that whole stay in your lane tweet and you lumped me in with a bunch of people like scumbag from PA. You put me in that tweet with 3 people. When you sub-zeroed my spine, I don't know, a year ago or whatever that was supposed to be, I was like a 75-year Andy. When Mike from PA, who, yes, basically has to lick Hassan's feet just to get a couple views, but he is still, 1.5K views. Vosh is 6,000. So whatever efficacy you're supposed to be having by destroying these lefties is having the exact opposite effect. Even your biggest enemy, the one you hate the most, Demon Mama, doesn't she have 500 live viewers or something like that now? And at the time she had 100. You seem to be the Midas touch thingy for some of these people.
I don't have the power to make or break careers. That's not what I can do. That's not what my job is, right? These are people. No, you don't. You have no idea though. That's an incredibly elementary way of looking at something. Right? Where if something goes from 1 to 5 and something else is involved, oh, well, if you wouldn't have been there, maybe it wouldn't have gone to 1 to 5. Maybe it would have gone from 1 to 10, or maybe it would have gone from 1 to 8. When you've got people like Demon Mama that are friends with people like Vosh and that are constantly platformed by them, you don't know if that person would have grown or not, right? It's so funny because I've interacted with hundreds of people and, the vast majority of them become nothing. But a few of them will go on and grow in popularity. But somehow, the ones that I talked to that became nothing had nothing to do with interacting with me. But the ones that I talked to that went on to become bigger, that was 100% my responsibility. I don't buy that at all. Some people give me credit sometimes for Nick Fuentes getting popular because I debated him. I don't think I'm that powerful. There are some people that I will unfortunately take credit for. So fucking Vosh and Hassan, because these people directly came out of my community, and that was my bad. I fucked up. But people like Demon Mama, I don't think I have one debate with somebody now I've automatically established their career in the e-politics arena. I don't believe that.
Totally. I totally agree with you. That would be incredibly reductive. Doesn't make any sense. But I'm saying that's basically the people that you're calling out the most, right?
Yeah, of course.
All
and
these
I get emails from people like I used to.
How is it keeping them in check?
Because I get emails, and I can only really go by emails and messaging because I don't know otherwise, right? I used to get a lot of emails from people saying, "Hey, Destiny, like, I used to watch Tucker Carlson. I used to be a big Sean Hannity fan. I was starting to watch all these alt-right people, Andy Warski, JF on YouTube, and now I don't." Now I get those same emails, but it's usually people saying that they used to be fans of like you or Vosh or some other like socialist lefty, and they say that they've gotten like converted away from that crazy shit. So as long as I get people saying that I'm doing something like that, then I slowly improve my rhetoric and I keep trying to move in that direction.
But I get the exact same emails in the opposite direction.
Well, and it sounds like we're both working to convert against each other, I guess. That's how it goes. You've got an advantage right now because you got more.
I don't look at those anecdotal emails like, yes, I've crushed Destiny in the marketplace of ideas.
Well, so you can laugh at anecdotal and try to use that as a slur, but it's not like we have better data collection here to go off of. Do you? Have you contacted Gallup and you're like doing some official surveys? Like all I have to go off of are like the emails and the comments and shit that I see. I have to read a lot of them. It's not perfect data collection, but it's basically all I have to go on.
Right, but I'm saying in the opposite direction. If you're looking at the exact people that you're trying to target, they are continuously growing and growing at rapid rates.
Sure, but all of the left was growing for a while. The BreadTube subreddit is dead now, thank God. So maybe some of these like streamers or YouTube people will start to shrink or whatever. But yeah, that whole area, that aesthetic of being left leaning, like look at it's reaching its final evolution now. We've got the Nico girl with a 2 million apartment. We've got like all these socialists getting massively rich. We're hitting like the final stage of it before it like is enveloped back into whatever our next fucking phase will be. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing was growing a ton, of course.
For her. I think I better call it for her that no one's found yet, but I found a tweet where she was basically like calling Elon Musk Daddy Ubu or something like that no one's pulled up.
Well, the craziest call out for her was when she I don't want to. I don't feel like bringing it up. She's done dumb shit. It doesn't matter though. But regardless, like that. I mean, the whole left exploded online for a while. But even the skeptics were exploding online for a while too. While I debated them, I never got credit for like you made all the skeptics who were there. I didn't get credit for that. Like, why would I? But I mean, like the lefty shit was exploding, so I responded to it. Anything that starts to get more and more popular, I'm probably going to respond to. I don't think that's me making it more popular. That's just me responding to it because it's becoming more popular.
Yeah, but I also don't think that you're changing these people.
I mean, as long as I get email, all I can do is
satisfying you.
All I can do is look at the responses and shit I get online, so that I can get a general feel of how I did. Sure, so, for instance,
do you not feel? Do you not feel like it's a bit of a delusion of grandeur to be like, I'm the one that is keeping them in check? Like I'm the one basically holding them at bay. This kind of like.
Do you think that I think that about myself?
I don't see that. Didn't you just say that out loud?
I have a small part that I can play. I don't think I can affect the overall current of what becomes popular or not popular online. I don't think I have that much power. I would be a tremendously arrogant person to assume that. I just do what little I can. I don't think I defeated the alt-right single-handedly. I don't think I defeated the skeptics, and I don't think I'll defeat the socialists. I get online and I watch dumb shit and I call it out when I see it, and I play my little part on the internet. That's all I can do. That's all I do.
All right, let's talk about woke capitalism.
Yeah, woke capitalism is awesome.
Cool.
Why do you hate woke capitalism so much?
Do you want to talk about IBM and the Holocaust? I assume that's the one that pissed you off the most of all of them.
Sure, if you want to.
Grindr, I'll say this: if Grindr wants to put the gay logo in their products, I don't give a fuck. I think that's awesome. Yeah, and hey, representation serves a small purpose. It doesn't actually.
If I'm going to be honest, I've been called the F slur on Grindr way more than on Tinder. But just saying, go ahead.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that woke capitalism is a reflection of the market and the Overton window changing, not the other way around. I don't think woke capitalism changes anything. I think these are just people who realize that it's more profitable for them to put a rainbow logo on their flags.
Do you think it's the same way when we talk about like representation in media?
I think representation in media can serve a purpose in that it's good for people who didn't have representation before to see themselves in media representation. Like I think it's good if trans kids will see trans characters and et cetera like that. Not that I think that is in and of itself actually going to affect social change at the same level as say like, removing income inequality and stuff like that.
Sure, but it's all okay. So all of this is like part of the struggle, right? It's not just one thing. So I think we both agree that like representation in media is good. We understand that representation in media happens for the same reason that woke capitalism does, right? Like the Black Panther wasn't made as like a social justice warrior critique on white society, right? It was made because they see that like lots of different people watch movies and they can make a fuck ton of money by having like a black superhero.
Yes.
Okay, so if we think that like woke capitalism there is good, Why wouldn't we just apply that same
Carter
logic
Joe,
in like any other place?
$4.99.
Like
So
like let's say that
is-
Burger
is
King
the
like doesn't
point-
actually like their CEOs and all their management don't love like gay people or black people or whatever, but they like are every month comes around or every time the LGBT Pride Month comes around they hang up their flags. Like isn't that like a little bit of representation in society just like that much better?
So the companies that I've been specifically calling out online is I'm doing it for a very specific reason. For example, Google. While Google puts the the rainbow logo on their icons and all that kind of stuff, they are actively forcing their employees to have to use dead names on their ID tags if they haven't been able to change them for whatever reason, usually economically, through the state level. So that to me is incredibly fucked up. So I think it's
How is that
hypocritical
incredibly
to say that
fucked up?
Forcing employees to use dead names on their ID tags?
If they haven't gotten it changed with the state? My guess is this is probably policy almost everywhere, right? How do you have people that just give whatever name they want if it's not registered anywhere with a state body? I'm genuinely asking you. I don't know. I haven't heard about this issue, but that sounds like common sense to me. Of course, you have to go by your state registered name.
Because it's okay. Well, first off, it's not something that every single person can afford, right? The ability to change your name is usually something that's privileged for people who can afford to do that. Secondly, the ID tags themselves. We're not talking about just verification badges. We're talking about what they have to wear as part of their everyday getup. It was something that was like spread around through the Alphabet Union right now.
Okay. I'm gonna.
Your company badge doesn't mean shit, right? Like, or I'm not talking about like.
If you work at Google, you should be able to afford a name change. Okay, number one. Okay, number two. Even if you can't, I'm sorry, but like in terms of how security and everything works, you probably need to have like actual name badges and shit. Like, I'm sorry, like I don't know how you can think that you can just not do that. Like.
There's so many things here. Like, okay, what if they just got hired, for example? Like they've just started. They're not making the Google salary yet. They've just gotten the job of their dreams, but they also don't want to be called by their dead names anymore because that shit really fucks with them.
Then unfortunately, I'm sorry. I know that it's everybody's dream to work at Google, but I guess you're one of the 1% of the 1% who was able to get whatever prerequisite education or computer background you needed, but don't have the money to change your name. So wait a month or two or save up. Or I don't know. Like, this is such a weird hill to die on. Like, you can resolve this after working at Google for 2 or 3 months. This sounds like such a non-issue. Like,
well, okay. Well, this is one of the reasons why I think them using that flag is hypocritical.
okay, do you have like a real like actual LGBT issue and not like my name tag won't be changed even though it doesn't match my state like given or federal given name, which is kind of important? Is there like an actual LGBT issue that they
dead naming is a massive issue to the trans community. I don't think that's a petty issue on any level. I'm not even virtue signaling right now. I'm being genuinely serious.
Do you think that?
I mean, I can't relate. I'm a cis guy, but like that is overwhelmingly what I've been told by members that like my trans friends have told me that, members of the trans community have told me that.
I have a hard time believing there's all these trans people getting jobs at Google that can't afford a name change. Like, what about people that work in defense? Do you think that they should be allowed to present whatever name they want, even if it's not like changed to the state?
If it's okay, so we're talking about 2 separate things. Okay, we're talking.
Well, no, we're talking about security
and an ID. Right. So yes, but I'm separating these two. We're talking about an ID badge, which you just wear on your person to identify who you are, and we're talking about security protocols to be able to get into the building. For the security protocols to get into the building, yes, I'm sure there's probably a federal mandate or a state mandate that probably supersedes what a business is allowed to do, especially if it is for something like security. So I can't even make an argument there. When it comes to just what you present as, or what you say your name is, or what you put on your security badge, I think you should be able to say whatever the fuck you want. Why is that a huge issue for someone? Like, it's kind of like the same thing with pronouns. Like, would it be offensive if someone was trying to use like they, them instead of he, her, she?
I think pronouns are a little bit different because names are like represent like a unique registry for a particular person or whatever. Like if you have like a name badge, I don't know. When I worked at the casino, like it has to. That's your name. It's how like security identifies you. It's how, like people would be confused if you had like an ID that didn't match your name badge. If some shit was going on, like so this would mean like if anything was happening ever, your name. Okay, here is my understanding, and I could be wrong. My understanding is like if you have a name badge for something, you probably need it to like get into certain areas or whatever. At this point, you're basically advocating for the elimination of name badges, which could be fine. That maybe if that's the thing you want to go with, then sure. But like if it gets to the point where like every time you see a name badge, you have to ask for an ID, then what the fuck is the point of the name badge? Because that's essentially what you're saying, right? Like you can't use the name badge for anything now because it could be anything, right?
Would you be okay if they allowed for both? Would that be all right?
Allowed for both what?
if they allowed for both having your dead name and your new name on the badge, and so it still followed whatever protocols you're trying to adhere to.
I mean, if they wanted to, I imagine if you're a trans person, it's still probably going to feel pretty shitty having like your dead name and then your quote unquote real name or fake name, depending if you're dealing with a transphobic person.
It's more than just the dead name. At least it's something.
Yeah, I guess. This is just like such a weird issue. Like badges are like like ID badges are there to identify you. If it doesn't match your name, then you could literally have anything you want on your badge, and then now we just don't use name badges anymore. So like if I go to get into an area and like, let me see your tag, your badge, or whatever, oh blah blah, okay, you're in. Like, well now it's like, hold on, no wait, your name badge actually means nothing. I need to check your study ID. So you're gonna get dead named every time you like have to ID for anything anyway. Like.
Okay, well then we can just summarize this. You don't think this is a big of a deal, and that's fine.
Well, no. Let's hold on. Let's summarize it in my position. You don't think that security is real. You don't believe in any type of secure areas, and you don't think that people should have to like ID themselves. Like that's what you're saying, right? Okay, if that's what you want to go with, that's fine. Yes. But so like as somebody that's dating people that have worked in like secure areas and everything, like you have to have it like a name badge to ID yourself. Like yeah.
No, totally. Yeah, no, I gotta cut off some of my hair and mail it to you so you can build that straw lance you've been like working on so hard. Like what are you talking about? Of course I believe that security is real. Okay, absolutely, it has to be. We're talking about how someone identifies themselves on a name badge versus a security protocol to get into the building. But once you're inside the building, is it okay to be wearing a name badge, in your opinion, that says a name that you choose, not your dead name?
I would have to know specifically like the protocol of how their badges work to really like know that, because like in my corporate experience, in my environment experience at the casino, and this is all I have to go on, I could be wrong, it's probably the same as areas, like your name badge will usually represent like areas that you can get into or not. So like the color of your badge might matter, or a symbol on the badge might matter. If that can be anything, then people would just like switch badges and go wherever the fuck they want. In that case, then no, you can't. But now if these are literally just like fucking like name tags or whatever, well then yeah, I guess you should be able to put whatever name you want on it if it doesn't mean anything. But if these badges are used to like sign into area, yeah, I guess. But like my guess is going to be that.
Okay, so would you then think it was kind of hypocritical for them to not allow them to do something so simple as that, and then also use like the gay logo?
Do they use their IDs to swipe in? Do they use their IDs to swipe in for access anywhere?
I don't know.
If you don't know this, then why are you? Wait, hold on. If you don't know this, why are you talking about this at all? You have no idea what you're talking about. Then you understand that, right?
What do you mean?
You have no idea because if they do use these to swipe in for things, and if these badges are like unique and important, then you would agree then that they probably should have their like state names on them.
I don't know anything about their security protocol badges. I'm talking about name tags. Like
okay, but do they use
the emails? That's what the email sent.
But do they use their name? Because some people have it's all built in. Like they'll have chips on their like name badges and shit, and they use that to swipe into places. I don't know if people in my chat are just trying to argue or not, because I can't tell, but a lot of people in my chat, and I don't know, and I don't trust them, because I know a lot of them don't like you, and so they'll say dumb shit, but there are a lot of people in my chat saying that you use your badge for entry into different areas and shit. I know I got people that work at Google, I don't know if they, but like, if that is the case, then, I mean, yeah, it makes sense that they would have to have the name on their state ID or whatever federal ID that they're recognized as is going to have to be on that badge if it's used for access to. Otherwise, you could just start giving your badges to people and shit, and people could get into anywhere, right? This is how like, and it wouldn't surprise me if this is like standard protocol at like all like major tech companies, like.
Yeah, and in which case I would agree with you if that was the case.
Okay, but then do you understand that you just staked out a huge position shitting on Google because of one issue that you don't know anything about? This is why I call you spineless.
I'm right now. This is not spineless. That would be ignorant. There's a huge difference. Spineless would be me being like, well, I'm just going to back up this position until the end of time, and I'm never going to.
No, but here's what you're doing. You stake out a position on this issue because it suits your ideology and it aligns you well with your ideological side, and you get all the social credit from your. I'm describing exactly what's happening because you don't know if they actually use these to swipe in or not.
Sure. So it's called a chosen name policy for all the workers, and it's been used for internal communication as well as identifying badges, not for security badges. It's talking about company badges. Those are two separate things. So based on their chosen name policy throughout Alphabet is saying that they will be using their dead names for internal communications. So emails, for example, what you represent with yourself. If you have a name badge just saying like, hi, my name is blank. That's why it's a problem.
I just think it would probably be good to know a lot about this before staking out like such a strong position that you're going to like decry them for having an LGBT flag or whatever on their thing. Like it sounds like it would be a good idea, maybe. Yeah.
So what I did is I retweeted them with the actual like quote from the newsletter that was sent around. So it's in their own words. It's not mine.
Okay, well, when I quoted the own words of another website earlier relating to your donation to a charity, you lost your fucking shit at me. So, I mean, I see that the standards are different, but...
The standards are different? Because you were wrong both times? I guess, yeah, that does kind of work out.
Now I want to read more about this. After arriving on site and being issued the badge with my dead name, I noticed that there were many people on site, both cis and transgender, whose badges did not reflect their legal names. I don't even know. And this was a subcontractor, I guess? With G4S. Oh, it was a security subcontracting firm, G4S. Okay. So he actually worked for security too, but... Jesus, so it wasn't even Google itself. It was a subcontractor. Okay, okay, sorry. What's the it's actually a security officer. Holy shit. Okay, what's the anyway, woke capitalism, flags. Let's say we grant all of this, okay? Cuz holy fuck, okay? So this wasn't even a Google play, but let's say that we grant all of this. Let's say that hypothetically Google has a company that they contract security out to, and these people don't do a particular thing. Why would that be bad if Google like still displays like the flag in solidarity or whatever? Like, would we prefer that like every single?
Why would it be bad if companies are hypocritical? Is basically it, right? Because that's the big thing here. Like the pride flag, which is a flag that is used to represent the LGBTQ community, I guess is a couple Bs. We're both part of those wonderful colors, right? It's something that, you know, obviously people that came before us had to fight for. Like, we live very cozy lives. We're both very soft, you know, in terms of like, we haven't had like the same kind of adversity in any way, shape, or form. Would you agree with that?
No. That may be speaking for yourself, but it would depend on who you're comparing us to, but I'm trying not to play that game, but...
To Stonewall? To people who literally died for this kind of stuff? To people who were beaten on the streets?
I think I've had a better life than people that were beaten on the street or died for a particular cause, yes. Sure.
Okay. Then for a corporation to take that same kind of symbolism and then make it part of their branding, when they haven't, for example, in the case of IBM, because I know that's the one you take a lot of umbrage with me for, in the case of somewhere like IBM, for them to put that out there while they were complicit in the Holocaust, and they've never admitted.
What do you mean complicit in the Holocaust?
Well, okay, this is probably the first time you're learning about this. Then they developed the card.
It's not what. No. I know what they did, but I'm asking.
So then why are you asking me?
Are you saying that any company that existed and made anything for the Nazi Party is now like needs to be gone? Like, what about Volkswagen or what about Hugo Boss? Like, are these companies that should just dissolve?
They weren't just selling them clothing. They invented the cataloging system that was necessary to be able to like commit the Holocaust.
Okay, and didn't Volkswagen literally develop like vehicles and armor and shit for like German?
Has Volkswagen ever like admitted, because I don't know the answer to this, but I know for a fact that a lot of Germany is way better than other companies, especially American companies, in doing full-on mea culpa when it comes to their complicity either in World War II or stuff like that. When it comes to IBM, they still will not release the records to show the extent to which they were involved directly in the Holocaust itself.
I mean, I don't know how, probably because of people like you that exist, but I don't even know how relevant it is or how much I like care. What is the implication here? Like, so some company, right? So Volkswagen and Porsche literally built like tanks and planes and shit for fucking Nazi Germany. But I don't think these companies are the same companies that existed 70 years ago. I don't think that these companies are just like waiting, like biting at the chops to like start going back to manufacturing for Nazi Germany again. Like, what is... So, I don't understand what the point of this call out is.
So in the list of things that you could be found to be subhuman for or not be considered part of the Übermensch, there was a list of categories, right? Like you're well aware of that, right? I'm not trying to do a call out or anything. One of those things was being gay. So if you were gay, then you would still be marched off to the camps. You would still be marched off. You would still be executed, in essence, just for who you were. So in my opinion, for a company that was complicit in those actions and has never taken any kind of accountability for that, has never publicly admonished their complicity, it's pretty fucked up for them to want to come out during Pride and suddenly wave that flag.
Yeah, but every single company that existed in Germany then was quote unquote complicit with it, especially Volkswagen and Porsche. So like,
and have they ever so can you tell me, has Volkswagen and Porsche ever, like, do they deny their involvement completely, like unilaterally?
does IBM? I don't know. Does IBM deny their involvement?
IBM does. I do know this. Yes, they do. They were actually sued by families of survivors, Jewish Holocaust survivors, for this. And the only reason that lawsuit was dropped was because the families were worried that the money that IBM was already given to a separate fund for Holocaust survivors would have been like cut off. So that's the reason they stopped that lawsuit. But IBM has never admitted to their complicity in this.
Has Volkswagen apologized for being created by Adolf Hitler and their complicitness in the war? Should we cancel Volkswagen too?
That's what I asked you.
I don't know. I've never heard of them apologizing before, but it just seems this is like such a weird virtue signal to like, this company worked with Hitler during 1944. Like what? Like, okay.
It wasn't that they just worked with him. They invented the cataloging system. The very sophisticated one that was necessary in order to be able to round up that many people, 6 million Jews, in order to be able to concentrate that many people.
I know that this is what you do. Okay, please. Oh God, the optics thing is making me sick to my stomach. I understand. 6 million. Okay, I got it. All I'm saying is that, okay, just because like any company that would have existed back then, like necessarily would have been working on behalf of the Third Reich if they existed in Germany in World War II. But I'm just saying that, like, I don't think that
this is an American company.
Sure, but it sounds to me like they probably did business in Germany, or it was an international company, right?
Yeah, a number of American companies did business in Germany. But I'm saying this one happens to be incredibly complicit with what they performed. This isn't like an empty action. This isn't just like they sold Coca-Cola under the name of Fanta, and all of a sudden the Nazis were drinking Fanta instead of drinking Coca-Cola. This was, they invented the actual cataloging systems.
What cataloging systems? Can you talk to me about these?
Sure. So the punch card systems, it's kind of like rudimentary computer cataloging. They were necessary in order to be able to tabulate and keep track of this many individuals. We're talking millions and millions of people who are being cataloged based on different traits, whether you were Jewish, whether you were homosexual. There was a list of things that would basically categorize you as not being part of what was considered to be the master race. And based on these traits, you would then be rounded up and then categorized into different camps. Not just Auschwitz, but other ones.
Oh, fuck. Unfortunately, because of how you guys work with this shit, I have to read all this myself because I don't trust anything that comes. Give me a second. Jesus, fuck. Here's a question that I'll ask you, and then I guess I'll probably do this later. Did IBM know what they were making this cataloging system specifically for?
Yes.
And then it was made by IBM, not like a fucking contractor or some shit.
Yes.
Okay, somebody told me this. You can tell me this is right or wrong. This was an internal German subsidiary of IBM, which would have to have obeyed the German command-style economy. Is that true or not?
I'm not familiar.
Black also asserts that a secret deal was made between Heiner and Watson during the latter's visit to Germany, which as a result, Nazi Germany soon became the second most important customer of IBM after the lucrative U.S. market. The 1933 census, with design help and tabulation services provided by IBM through its German subsidiary, proved to be pivotal to the Nazis in their efforts to identify, isolate, and ultimately destroy the country's Jewish minority. Wait, so did we even know that? When was the first concentration camp discovered? By the West. It was 1944. So is the criticism then just for working with the country in 1933?
No, the criticism is an American company. Even if they were using a German subsidiary at the time in order to invent this cataloging system that ended up being used in the Holocaust.
Yeah, but hold on. I asked you before if you knew they were using this to like concentration camp or like Holocaust people. But it sounds to me like this was in 1933, so it sounds like this is not the case at all.
Do you just think that they were like, okay, we need this incredibly sophisticated way of cataloging thousands and thousands of humans based on these traits that we're going to identify to you, such as Jewish and etc. And then what you're going to use it for, we don't know.
Lance, I know that you and me are both very, very, very white, and so we have very different lived experiences. But believe it or not, historically speaking, yeah, There were a lot of categories of people based on their race. Did you know that at that time in the United States, we had separate but equal facilities? Well, yes, of course. What do you mean? That doesn't mean that they're going to have fucking death camps.
Yeah, you also had, you had eugenics as well. In fact, the model that the Nazis ended up using was modeled after the American system of eugenics.
Okay, so then it doesn't, so it doesn't sound to me like anything like exceptional happened here. It sounded like in 1933 they built a system for they didn't know that they were going to concentrate. I don't think anybody knew that fucking holocausting Jews was going to be a thing. That's why it's such a incredibly historic event.
I
just want to say that initially
anything I say here, you're gonna be like, well, you're just virtue signaling.
Well, sure. So let me
how astounding
sure.
it is that I don't know about this and how ridiculous it is.
So let me pull back and show you where we're at, okay? And then maybe I'm being unreasonable. Maybe it's because of my secret fascist tendencies, fascistity, or whatever you call me, right? Okay. So here's what was originally presented to me. And this is why I don't trust anything you or people on your side say, right? So it sounded to me, and this might be my bad. Maybe it's my misunderstanding. It sounded to me initially like you were saying that IBM had made a cataloging system for Jewish people in concentration camps for Nazi Germany. That's what it sounded like to me. Holy fuck. But now that I've read like 2 sentences on a wiki, and now that I'm asking you a few more questions, it sounds like what actually happened was they made a tabulation system for their census in 1933. This is a way. And then when you tell me, like, did you know that they ask questions about like race? We do that today with our census, of course. That's how you do a census. Yeah, of course. Like this is nowhere near what you originally presented me with.
So if you want the amazing dunk that I think you're building up to here, why don't we go back? You can read either the book or finish like the Wikipedia articles on it, get a little bit deeper into it, because that to me is still complicit. But it still.
Wait, how is it? Do you understand that we ask those questions today? We ask people today what your ancestry or ethnicity is in the USA, right? In our census. I don't know if you filled out a census. Hold on. You might. Okay, I'm building a bridge to you because I don't know if you know because you're Canadian. I forget that. You are Canadian, right?
I am Canadian.
Okay, so when we get our U.S. Census, it's probably the same in Canada, if I'm being honest. But when we get our U.S. Census, it asks probably every fucking question that they would have in the fucking Nazi one, right? Like, what is your ancestry, your ethnicity? That asks your ethnicity and race. I think they ask on behalf of your parents as well. I could be wrong on that. I know they ask for your whole household, but like they ask all those questions today. So you're telling me that if tomorrow America started to genocide people, like based on their race or whatever, would you hold accountable the company that makes the technology for America to run its census?
So is that technology still being used, and is it still being provided to by that company? Is IBM still providing them with extensive cataloging systems, massive amounts of machines and punch cards, or did that all stop? Did IBM suddenly take a position and they were like, you know what, we're going to do the honorable thing. Hitler, turns out he's bad. This fucking sucks. Let's stop sending all this stuff to the Nazis. Did that happen?
I don't know. I would be very surprised, and oh my God, I'm giving you the layup to slam dunk on me, okay? Is it the case that that IBM was continuing to provide assistance to Nazi Germany after we discovered the first death camps? Does this actually happen?
According to that book, yes. The problem with this book is that IBM at this point has refused to release their internal documents that would disprove that. But according to his research in that novel, that's basically what he asserts. The biggest problem with this, again, is that IBM has refused to like open up the books on a lot of this stuff. And even though the closest we've come is that they were getting, like I said, a massive lawsuit by survivors in order to open that kind of stuff up, but it ended up getting dropped.
Okay, so I don't see, I'm just trying to read I don't see anything referencing that they knew there were death camps and they were still providing, like, mailing them time cards or whatever. It sounds like this system that IBM made was finished way before any fucking World War II shit happened. And then afterwards, the German version of IBM, whatever their subsidiary was, they just maintained it, which you would expect them to do because they're a subsidiary of the German command economy, of course.
The genocide didn't start with the death camps, just so we're clear, right?
Okay. But what I'm talking about is the discovery of the first death camp, because that's when we would have, because I could be wrong. Sure. History's not my strong point. We didn't know in the West that those death camps and genocide, we didn't know that was happening until we'd like actually like stepped into Germany and seen it. That was my understanding.
I mean, I think you are doing so much heavy lifting for a company here that like doesn't benefit either of us in terms of like we're not sponsored by them. When I think it's a very reasonable ask to be like, maybe just come forward and admit your complicity in any of this, or
What?
come forward and release the documents.
Do you understand what you're saying? Just come forward and say you were complicit with the Holocaust because you helped a country that nobody knew was going to Holocaust people make a census system.
Right, but that's your version of history. That's your version of the understanding of these events.
My understanding is that when we're I don't know, dude, I don't actually know. This might not be the case. My guess is that in the United States of America, maybe it's not. I would guess that it's probably illegal to collaborate with a fucking country that you're at war with. So I would be really surprised if in 1944, after we'd entered fucking World War II, that U.S. companies would still be collaborating with other governments that you're at war with. Is that
okay? Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's present in the Wikipedia article, but in the book itself, it spoke about how whistleblowers in the company were trying to alert people that this was the case. That they were saying to them, "Hey, by the way, this is super fucked up. Like Germany is using this technology to commit genocide. Like maybe we should stop." And they didn't listen to them.
Have you read this book?
I've read like
So no. Why are you?
No, 3/4 of it. I had to read this book in university. It was fascinating. It's part of like one of the 3 courses where you have to read like so many fucking novels that you end up like reading 3/4 of it. But yes, it was a fascinating novel.
Okay, I would be. I'll search for. I guess that this incredibly important claim somehow didn't make it into any wiki or articles anywhere. But I'll look for it later. I'm super interested in finding out if like IBM actually helped them after they knew it was going on, and not just in 1933 they started the program, and then like Germany like upkept it.
If any part of that turned out to be true, would you then take offense or think that it was kind of weird for a company to put forward the gay pride logo even though that had happened?
Well, no, I wouldn't expect it to be the same company, but I would hope they would at least try to like make amends or something, or have done something in the past, right?
Or pay reparations, right?
Yeah, or pay reparations, I guess, if that was the case, yeah.
And
I
in
would
terms of
expect
like,
them
I know you sent me an article from 1996 about how they were like sending a certain amount of money to like gay employees.
That they allowed like gay people to include their partners, I think, for company benefits, because historically people would only do it for like wives or husbands, or like the legally recognized married people or whatever.
For sure. So I'm sending you two. This one's from 2009 to talk about how the working conditions at IBM in China were akin to like prison conditions.
What does this have to do with LGBT stuff?
I'm getting to that. So here's the more modern one. This one is from Mother Jones. It's from 2018, showing that there was thousands of employees fired from IBM because of ageism. And of those thousands of employees, you could make an argument, because I believe, gay people make up, between 6 to 8% of the population. There's also a huge amount of homosexuals that were fired in that process, right? These are 2 cases of the companies not exactly working towards the benefit of their employees.
Okay, so the first one is bad conditions in Chinese factories, which is probably literally I acknowledge that. I don't see the connection to LGBT there. Maybe some of those Chinese people are gay. That's possible. And then the next one is...
Yeah, I think it's 6 to 8% would be probably, right? I think that's the national average.
Maybe. I don't know what the percentage is in China. I have no idea. So
sure.
Then we have age discrimination. And you're arguing that because they engaged in age discrimination, some percentage of those people were gay, so... They were
I'm not saying. Okay, please. I'm not making the leap that this is homosexual discrimination about these cases. I'm pointing out that this is a really shitty company that has really shitty practices towards its employees. And in both these cases, a number of these thousands and thousands of people who were fired for this are also going to be gay, right? Like that is just going to fall in by percentage of that as well. But
should every company that's ever engaged in shitty labor practices should just be disallowed from participating in LGBT related stuff?
Well, LGBT-related stuff is about civil rights at the end of the day, right?
For LGBT,
like, you agree with that?
Yeah, for LGBT people.
LGBTQIA plus, however you want to put it. Yeah, it is a matter of civil rights. So at the end of the day, if you want to use the branding of a civil rights movement, I think it's really, and I say this across the board. I said this for the Je suis Paris stuff back in the day. I said this for companies that put Black Lives Matter logos on their businesses, and meanwhile they have discriminatory practices towards like black employees, or don't like any of that shit. I find it to be grossly hypocritical for a company to use the branding of a civil rights movement while at the same time engaging in really shitty practices themselves, like not really fighting for civil rights.
Okay, so then basically no company ever in the whole of the U.S. can have any LGBTQIA plus branding. because probably every company is engaged in like wage theft or like done fucky shit in the past or been anti-gay or anti-black or.
You know what's funny? If you want an easy dunk, you probably could have said, "Do you think Grindr's a good company?" Because it's probably not. It's probably a horrible company. It's probably going to be an app economy that's just fucking terrible. So I would take the L right there. But I will say this: yeah, a lot of them, no. I mean, maybe there is some really good companies in the United States. I've heard Ocean Spray is a pretty dope company, and you'll probably make fun of that because it's a worker co-op. But I'm saying there is probably some companies that engage in labor practices that are good and beneficial.
Okay,
to
so we're
employers.
basically deleting like we're deleting gay pride from all corporations are no longer allowed to make any statements on it. And then also Black History Month, I'm imagining, is also out for all of these companies too. Yeah.
What do you mean out? There's a very
Out
big
as in as in when I go to any company or walk down the street, I better not fucking see a single LGBT or black whatever flag anywhere because all of these companies are hypocrites. I only want to see it on the most woke fucking shows and on fucking YouTube and on some radio stations. And by God help me, if any of those radio stations existed before 1964, they better not be talking about anything related to black rights. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to. It shouldn't be anywhere in society because they're all hypocrites, except for on only like woke programming on fucking YouTube or on like newly created radio stations. This is what you want.
What I want, and what I think would be way better, is why don't these companies, A, do anything for these organizations?
Well, isn't that standard? I don't know. Again, another chance for you to own me. But don't most of them like donate like 1% of their revenue or 2% of their revenue during this shit or have like a roundup to donate to the pink cancer awareness or gay pride or whatever? Like, don't they all do that here? Like, isn't that like usually what happens?
Amen. That sounds great. That's fucking all write-offs and bullshit. Like, are you actually affecting any substantive change?
Wait, what do you mean it's a write-off some bullshit? It's a donation. What do you mean?
Well, donations by the very definition for those major corporations at the end of the day, you understand how that works, right? Like, it's not as if it's just like that comes out of their net gain. Like that those are tax write-offs. They do it for PR purposes.
No, they're not just tax write-offs. That's not true. It's money that's donated.
You're just gonna leave it at that? Like, it's 100% a tax write-off. At the end of the day, you will pay less in corporate taxes if you
No, that is not true.
Charity.
No. That's not how that works. Okay.
Okay.
Wait,
all right. I've learned something today because that's the exact opposite of.
I know because it's the talking point that everybody uses, but be careful. I'm giving you a pro-life tip. Nobody on the left knows anything about finance or taxes, okay? So if you receive $1,000 to donate to a charity, okay, you have to account for that $1,000 in income. Now, when you donate it, can you quote unquote write that off? Yes, you can, but you're just writing off the income that you received. And so it's a wash. That's what it is. It's not like a secret trick to write your.
Exactly what I was implying.
That is not what you were implying. You were implying that if you do donation drives, your overall tax liability will be decreased. It is not a wash. You said earlier it's a write-off they do for PR purposes.
Said it was a wash.
No. Hold on. I'm saying you didn't. You weren't making. No. Hold on. Wait. Let me finish. I misspoke 1 second. I'm saying you didn't make it sound like it was a wash.
I've always wanted to have one of those. Yeah, no, as in the company doesn't have to pay any of the money out of like their own dollars, their own pockets, right?
Yes, if it's people don't, unless they match. Now, if they match, then they are paying money out of their pockets.
So that would be better. So these 1% that they're giving, if that's them matching it, hey, that's even better.
But do they? Have you checked in? Do any of these companies match? Because isn't that a pretty common thing too? Don't they normally match up to a certain amount?
I don't know. Then that's a little bit of research I'm gonna have to do on my part.
Okay, well, it seems like that would be good to know before telling every single company in America they're not allowed to do LGBT pride stuff or whatever.
I think that me calling them out is different than me saying y'all can't ever say that gay is good.
Yeah, but you're not calling anyone out. Tweeting that IBM made a census tabulation for Nazi Germany in 1930 is not calling anybody out. It's needless virtue signaling that literally gets nobody anywhere.
It taught you and as well, I'm guessing, thousands of new people about that fact. I don't even know if they knew about that part of history.
Yeah, but I don't know what. Okay, well that's great then. You know what? I bet a lot of people learned a lot about that Human Rights or whatever website when I tweeted out that you donated money to Hamas. So I guess that's a net good too. Even if the information is wrong, at least people are learning, huh?
Well, that's why you and me are changing the world through the internet.
Okay, also, and I know that
activism.
This will probably never connect, and I don't expect it to, but just for the people listening, I just think it's very funny that you were willing to go back 70 years and condemn a company that made a tabulation machine for a company that was doing census shit that is the exact same shit we do in the US now. But when it comes to donating to a charity that is directly related to another one that has had dozens of people, I think, from their boards, like literally resign because of anti-Semitic remarks and shit, that's way okay. But the IBM shit from 70 years ago, that shit is way not okay, or 100 years ago almost, I guess. But
Even though I was capable of proving to you, and you admitted it on stream, that not a single penny from anything I donated goes towards that international organization.
That is what they said, which is good if it's true. Although I still probably wouldn't associate with an organization where so many people are resigning because of anti-Semitic remarks. But that's just me. That's just me. I don't want to get called a Nazi by anybody, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And it happens to be a separate organization. So, you know,
It's, well, you know, they send a lot of money to them and we can go through their audits and everything, but, you know.
Okay.
So,
Well,
yeah, so I'm curious then. So what would a company have to do today? Let's say that there were two realities, okay? So one is every single company, I don't even know what this would be. I'm trying to be charitable. Does something to right all the wrongs of their LGBT, black, wage theft, whatever oppression. Let's say they find a way to do that. Let's say that they can't do that. Would you rather have like no company have any pride stuff at all, or every company displays stuff? Some of them are matching donations, some of them are just sending straight donations to people, and it's a little virtue signaling, and some of them are still shitty. Like, what of those two worlds, what would you choose? Where there's nothing, or where people still do it and some companies are hypocritical?
I've never once said they don't have a right or they shouldn't be able to do what they're doing. I've never once made that proposition. I'm not here to take away their rainbow flags and to rip them off. I'm just calling them out for hypocrisy while they're doing it. That's
okay. So then, in that case, we're on the exact same side. You're in favor of woke capitalism. You just also want companies to continue to do better.
I know. I want to be able to call them out for their shitty behavior and stop being.
Well, why do you call them out?
That's
what you want them to do. You want to call them out so they can do better, right?
I want them to treat their workers better. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I do too. And if they want to do pride and shit, even though some of them are a little hypocritical, because you better fucking believe they are. But if they want to do pride and shit, then yeah, fuck it, let them do it. But we can also still call them out so they do a little bit better. But woke capitalism is good.
Yeah, I believe in free speech. It's great.
Okay, well, I'm glad. Wow, you know, it took a while to get here.
There's my virtue signal for you.
Thank you. I'm glad. Well, anything else?
No, this has been fun. Let's talk soon.
Okay, I love you, buddy.
Bye.
Dude, Jesus. I tried to stay calm. I feel like I stayed relatively calm. I think I could have done better, but god damn. Here's a list, if you scroll down, of companies that will match your donations. Oh, General Electric, Soros Fund Management, BP, Gas Corporation, State Street Corporation, Exxon Mobil, CarMax, Johnson & Johnson, Choice Hotels, Microsoft. Oh, these are the top matching companies. So a lot of companies will do matching and shit. He surely seemed to like calling out hypocritical. I would have to go back and listen. I would have to go back and listen. But it sounded to me originally like he was saying IBM made fucking, basically, the way that it sounded like initially was, it sounded to me like fucking IBM literally went to the concentration camps, saw Jewish people being fucking executed en masse, and IBM was like, hey, check this out, we can help you do this in a more efficient manner, okay? That's what the original presentation of the IBM shit sounded like to me. That's what I heard. Maybe that was me being disingenuous. Maybe I wasn't hearing him well enough, but walking that all the way back to, well, they made a census tabulation program or machine for them in 1933. There is 0% chance Lance knew it was in 1933. Yeah, I don't think he did. I don't think he read any of that book. When he says he read 3/4, and he said it was for an English class where you don't do all the reading, like, I didn't go to college, but I went to high school. If you're ever like reading books like that, you're never reading 3/4 the books. What you're getting are excerpted passages from different chapters. So you might read like a couple paragraphs here, a few paragraphs here, maybe one chapter or maybe two of it. You're not reading like 3/4 of a book. I've never in my life heard that. But maybe in some college classes, maybe they do that. But I've never heard of that in a class. Usually it's like excerpts that you'll read or like a particular like chapter or two. Yeah, I don't know. But and then same thing with the Google thing too, where he was like so confident calling Google out on the badges, and it's like, well, are these security badges? And then we find out, one, the person is working as an actual security person, and then two, it wasn't even Google, it was a fucking subcontractor of Google. And then 3, he didn't even know anything about the badges. Why are you so mad about this then? Why do you even care? Like it, and actually going back, this is kind of what bothers me the most, is that there are a lot of like, especially because you see online, LGBT people get sucked into these like extreme lefty groups, but it's like obvious, like these people don't even give a fuck about you. He didn't even give a fuck to read like a 3-paragraph news story to actually find out what the fuck the issue was, right? Like he didn't even read like what were the badges for? What the fuck was he didn't read anything about it. He just retweeted a headline on Twitter to show all of his other friends like how much he's down for the cause and how much he supports fucking like whatever. Like how disappointing, right? Or the IBM thing that he was so mad about and he was so ready to fight. He didn't even know it was in 1933, but he read 3/4 of the book. Really? You didn't know anything about this? Like, come on, dude, no way. Obviously you don't give a fuck about it, right? So why pretend? Why stake out such a strong position? Like, and then I'm trying so hard. I'm so worried that my brain is getting stuck because I do too many drugs now or some crazy shit. When he brought up the Holocaust joke, I couldn't wrap my head around that. We was like, you make jokes about the Holocaust. Like, okay, what do you mean? And he's like, when Bad Bunny talked about erasing Israel, you said that she was looking for a final solution. That's a Holocaust joke. It was like, what? Wait. I don't know, man. Funny how quickly he dropped the Rittenhouse Palestine meme. Oh yeah, and it's like the thing that disappoints me too. I should have held him. I should have held him to a higher standard. I wanted like actual positions that I changed on, because when Vosh goes hard at me, who is very intelligently, I'll give him credit for it. Vosh is smart enough to stay away from him now, which is intelligent of him, right? When Vosh was accusing me of changing positions, he wasn't just going after one-liners or jokes. Vosh was saying I like totally changed my fucking ideology. That's what I was hoping Lance would bring up. It's like, oh, like you totally changed your view on this particular thing. You totally like. I thought that like that was. I thought that. That's what he was going. Not like you made like this joke or like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and then he talks about like getting me canceled. It's like, okay, dude. Oh, when he, and then he's like, look at what IBM fired thousands of workers because they were too old. Some percentage of those workers are probably gay. So that's kind of like anti-LGBT. What the fuck? I feel like I'm in the fucking crazy zone, dude. To the Twilight Zone. I don't even know, man.
Wouldn't someone use their new name instead of the dead name when they apply/get hired?
No, because it sounds like they didn't have it legally changed yet.
Earlier in the conversation you discussed this person donating to terrorist-adjacent organizations in recent times. Now he's holding IBM to a much higher moral standard than himself.
Yeah,
I
holy
feel like
shit.
I've outpaced him intellectually.
Oh yeah, the Central Committee is still lurking in the Surfs chat.
Ocean spray isn't a worker coup. It's an agricultural coup. Those things aren't the same. Don't let him get away with that.
Wait, is that true? Is an agricultural co-op different than a normal co-op?
Then $5. Don't alt-righters make the same argument against woke capitalism? Andrew Breckus, $5. Is it okay to fire people ever, or do we have to make sure they're not gay before we do it?
I feel like I've outpaced him intellectually.
How can someone be so confident about something they know nothing about? Spinelessness.
Agricultural co-ops are owned by the farmers who exploit the workers. Oh. So it's not actually so it's not a co-op at all.
I work at Microsoft, not Google, but we use badges to open doors and that's it. No one looks at them, it's all about the chip inside. Use a label maker and put your name on it, no one cares. Also it's COVID time, I haven't touched my badge in a year.
Nice.
Yeet Machine, $5. Next time any lefty is mean to landlords or another group, call them homophobic, because there is a chance any given landlord is gay. It's the same logic. Destiny, I am a COVID-19 contact tracer in New York City and we ask people everything. Sex, gender, sexual orientation, ethnicity, race and culture. If Biden Rogan started having Italians killed, should Salesforce be held complicit?
True. Good question.
Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.
Enough about me, actually, and more about myself. I represent something called the gangster left.